Chris Level of Locked On Texas Tech. The Red Raiders are in win now mode under Joey McGuire. That is my quote, not yours. And the reason I think that, the overabundance of NIL money available right now to Texas Tech that has been utilized in football for this offseason, the way that Tech utilized the transfer portal to bring in blue chips, a top 5 recruiting class in the country, some would call it top 3, some would call it number 1 in America. This is a football team built to win. I would argue McGuire has had teams in his first handful of years that were built to win as well. Last year, the slip up against Washington State, the poor game against Baylor. You're looking at a Texas Tech schedule that, while it ended happily, it ended on a happier note in the regular season at the very least, it wasn't what you wanted. When are we finally going to get our feet up underneath us? Then this year, with the millions of dollars being pumped into the program, the transfer portal focus, it feels like, hey, if we're going to entrust a head coach with all of this money, all these resources, they better win. And it feels like there's never been a better time to do that.
Yeah, and I think Joey enjoys that pressure, likes it, wants to be at a place where there's some expectation. You know, he's had a winning Big 12 record his first 3 years here. They were 1 win away from playing in the Big 12 title game last year. And that's what got everybody, I think, feeling like we are right there. You know, that's where a lot of this motivation comes from, is that you were just on the lip of the cup, and you beat both the teams that obviously played for the title in Arizona State and Iowa State last year in the regular season. And I don't think Joey was out with a tin cup on the side of the road to these folks going, please donate to our cause. No, these folks willingly wanted to help. And then I think what happened was they saw how much production was in the portal, and it's like they saw some success they were having, and they just decided to keep going. Like with the DB, 5 DBs, 5 defensive linemen. I mean, maybe you thought at the onset you're going to bring in a couple at each position. No, let's keep going. And then when David Bailey hops in the spring, he's a no-brainer ad, guys. Go get him. Okay, let's do it. There is absolutely pressure. What does that look like to me? To me, I'm not saying you have to win the Big 12 or else, but if you didn't get to Arlington, this has been a big-time failure. And I think Joey and every donor involved here would tell you the same. That's what it's built to do. If you get to Arlington, then you can take care of your business and make the next steps, but you got to get to Arlington first. Texas Tech's never made it there before. That's you got to check that list off first. I think it may be Pollyannish to think that any one of these Big 12 schools is really in line for an at-large berth in the playoffs. Okay, when we get right down to it, maybe. I mean, maybe so. But it's all about getting to Arlington and winning that game is really what this is about. But you got to get to Arlington first. I can't say if you were to get to Arlington and lose it and you win 10 games or something, I can't sit here and say that this is a miserable failure, regardless of how much money you did or didn't spend, because you've never done that before. You are pushing through. You are pushing your program forward. Some will have higher expectations, and Joey probably will. I just would have a hard time saying that's a failure when you've never even been able to sell a ticket to a Big 12 title game before featuring Texas Tech. I mean, that's the minimum. I have no problem saying that. And there is a lot of pressure here. There's no doubt, but that's the way everybody here wants it.
Yeah, the reason I use win now is because the money that's there, you've got to justify people spending that money. When I think about a year ago, when I was in college a couple years ago, my buddies every Sunday would put $100 a piece on the Cowboys. Why? Cowboys fans. We'd have, you go to FanDuel, you have now a $100 investment. They win the game. Cool. Dinner's free. Let's have some drinks and hang out. Last year, it got to the point where I just stopped putting $100 in the cow. I'm just pissing money away by giving this $100 to the void every week.
Right.
And
I know where you're going here. Yeah.
That helps me get into the mindset of Joe Blow sitting in his suite, who's paid $5 million for Texas Tech to have an elite wide receiver core, an elite DB core. I'm spending a good chunk of my money that could go to anywhere. I was going to donate it somewhere. I'm going to give it to NIL. And to go 6-6, 7-5, not saying they will, but if that happens, then why do I want to spend that $5 million again? Is that the mindset of a donor?
I think it's a very fair point. I think the people that are heavily involved, because there's some parts of this that are certainly involved on a smaller scale, but the heavy lifters here would probably have a longer leash, if that makes sense, because I think, again, it goes back to trying to play the long game. This is you are. I've been asked, hey man, so they're pushing all the chips in the middle of the table. Yeah, well, if you crap out, it's not like you're not going to keep playing. You have to keep going. The pot is committed. Is a phrase that's been uttered to me on multiple occasions. Now, if the rules weren't to change, would they be willing to go as all in every single year for the next 2 to 4 years? I don't know about that, because again, if you weren't getting results, something would have to change. Coaching, the way we identify this talent, like are we spending the money on the wrong guys, all those things. But you're right, there's a shelf life here with people's generosity. I would certainly say that. That's why you've got to show them something. And I think getting to Arlington at the minimum is progressing and pushing through. And certainly anything past that it's now you're justifying the expense. Basketball too. I mean, you're going to have one of the top 10 or 12 basketball payrolls in the country as well if you're Texas Tech.
Is this the most talented that the Texas Tech roster has ever been in football?
In so many ways, probably. I don't know if you've got so
I think if you ask 24/7 on paper, they would say yes based on these. Right.
But you don't have a bona fide first round draft pick. You don't even have like a couple of So some would say like Arizona State, maybe with Levitt and Jordan Tyson. Those are a lot of first round thoughts there, and so that kind of trumps a lot of this conversation. Depth, talent, like from 1 to 60. Yeah. I mean, the beauty of what they did with their portal class, they've recruited really well here in high school. Yeah. And yet they brought in all these older guys and they didn't lose any of their high school guys. Almost none of them that they liked all stayed here. So you're getting the best of both worlds. So this isn't a 1 year clip where you just, we graduate a lot of it. And I would say 5 to 7 of the guys that they brought in from the portal will be here again next year. They've got multiple years of eligibility. So, but talented. I will say this: it's easily the most talented defensive line they've had in 20 years. That they could be scary good there, and they were terrible and extremely average last year. But it's all new, and they kept a lot of their redshirt type guys. That's the part that I may be most excited about. If they could have put any pressure on the quarterback last year, they're probably playing Arlington. Maybe could have gone further, but they could not. They could not come up with anything there. And so, but yeah, talented wise, I mean, it is from 1 to 60 depth wise, absolutely one of the most talented rosters they've ever had. Yeah.
And the transfer portal works in ways that folks don't always consider. They want that 4-star transfer to come in and be instant impact. But if DeQuan Finn's not good, and it means that Sawyer Robertson is, this is an opportunity for those high school recruits to step up and play big. Again, what really makes me feel for Texas Tech, Waco is different. You're an hour and a half from Dallas. If mom and dad and grandma want to see you play from Dallas, they can drive up on a Saturday pretty easily. Dallas to Lubbock, Houston to Lubbock, San Antonio to Lubbock. Some of these recruiting hotspots to Lubbock aren't the same. Hey, if I'm recruiting only Lubbock Coronado kids or only South Oak Cliff kids, we're going to have a very different college football team around here. So it's extremely impressive to see what Texas Tech has done in its geographic location with a smaller town compared to a Fort Worth, compared to a Houston, to build what it's built. Chris Level, where can more folks find your work?
Locked on Texas Tech, man. Every day, me and Casey Cowan been doing radio for a long time, and fortunate enough to be on this platform of ours, the Locked On family, for about 3 years now. I guess it has been, and so we love it. It's great, and get to work with folks like my man Drake here. And but don't pay too close attention to some of the squad shows. They can be a bit sketchy and whatnot. The Dose Grande squad, right? I think is that your phrase?
That's the phrase.
I'm kidding. We have fun. It's just part of it. I'm the old guy in the room that everybody gets annoyed with me.
Too much fun for the old guy. I was 21, standing outside a 300-person baseball stadium when Chris Level calls me and says, "Man, should I work for these Locked On people?"
I did call you. Yes.
Gone okay since then.
Sure.
That's Chris Level of Locked On Texas Tech. This has been and always will be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. A crossover with Texas Tech and Dose Grande.